All right, welcome to the Helm developer stand-up call. It's February 21st, 2019. Format is we'll go through any announcements that we have. Core team will give any stand-ups, we'll have any discussion, and then we'll pick roles for next week. So the announcements, looks like they were copied from last one. Oh, no, never mind. RC2 was released. Helm 3 update. I'm not sure who put that on there and who wants to talk to that. Otherwise, I can give a quick update.
Yeah, I just put that on for you, Adam, but do you want me to take it out?
Oh, I didn't have any announcements for Helm 3.
Oh, sorry, I'll take it.
Okay. And Helm Summit update?
Yeah, we are just waiting on CNCF to get back to us. Karen, Butcher, and I reviewed the proposal that they had for both Milan and Amsterdam in terms of like how much it would cost and what we would spend money on. And so we reviewed that and then asked for like potential sponsors last week, but we're still waiting on details from them. I think one of the people that we emailed is on vacation until tomorrow, so we'll probably expect to hear from her maybe early next week. So that's where we're at.
Great, thanks, Michelle. And then let's see, we got quite a few people on today, so we can jump into stand-ups. Do you want to start us, Josh?
Sure. I don't have much to share. I spent this week looking into the Lua language. Started working with the Azure Lua engine. So that's about it. Let's see. Adnan.
Yeah, I also don't have much. I did get round to Martin looking at your changes for the library chart, which the approach was good. The one thing I did point out in that issue was that the common chart today doesn't actually generate any templates. It just defines Go template blocks, which is why it doesn't. Which is why if you use it as a dependency, it doesn't actually add any of its own templates. But if there was a library chart that also generated templates, then those would be included in the release. I think that's unlikely to happen, so I think it's fine for now. But if a future change could basically improve that to ignore any templates generated from a library chart. That's all I have. Let's see. Michelle?
Yeah, I started working on Helm test for V3 last week. This week I've been more focused on collecting feedback from maintainers of CNCF projects for some CNCF work that I'm doing. So I talked to Matt Farina yesterday on behalf of Helm to get some feedback on what CNCF can do better, or if we have any concerns or frustrations. If anybody, there was nobody else from Helm on the calls, but if anybody wants to still have a private session with me and Brandon Phillips, we're the developer reps on the governing board, then feel free to message us. But yeah, I have some feedback to take back from on behalf of the Helm project too. I'll continue working on Helm tests later today and maybe tomorrow morning. Who hasn't got Nikhil?
Sure. I don't have very much to report. I started taking a look at the Helm 3 pieces and want to continue to take a look at that, especially some of the Lua pieces as well. So we'll continue doing that this week, but not much else from my side. Go for Rena.
So I reviewed a bunch of stuff. Some of you saw me reviewing pull requests. I'm trying to review some of those things these days. In addition to that, I paired with Matt Fisher on getting crypto stuff into the 2.13 RC2 release. So now everything's signed and the hashes are now posted up there for verification outside of the bucket. So we've got signing, and I worked a little bit with that stuff this week too. Who hasn't gone? Mr. Butcher, the good doctor. Are you there, Matt?
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
All right. So we're in a room together trying to figure out how to work the conference thing, and it's not working. So we're over here. I've got Taylor and I've got Brian all in the same room.
Weird occurrence, I know.
Yeah. So I'll go first, then pass it off to one of them. I don't remember what I've done in last week. I'm so totally flustered. Taylor, go for it.
So I didn't get much done this week due to some work stuff again, but I am going to be reviewing things tomorrow afternoon. I'll get around to some stuff, and then I'm just gonna have to go back through the PR queue and find out. I have to dig myself out of the issue and PR hole that I've dug myself. So I'll be doing that this week, or this Friday, tomorrow, and then probably try to get some more done next week.
Yeah, I've just been working on the implementation of, excuse me, the meta tables in the Lua VM for basically prototyping how we can embed a type into a chart object that can extend different meta methods to overload different operators within the scripting engine. I've been doing that for about a week, and it's what I'm still doing. That's it.
And we'll pass back to the moderator.
Okay, yeah, I'll go ahead and go. So this past week, I've been trying to do some heads down coding on the builder, making some progress with that, hoping to get a pull request open for that huge chunk of work next week. Also, I could use some help with if anybody has any smaller tasks that they're aware of for Helm 3 that they can add to the issue queue for people to pick off. Lots of people have been asking me what they can work on next, but they need a little help with scope, having stuff narrowed down. So if anybody has any ideas that they can throw in there, I'll go through again probably tomorrow and see if I can't add anything else, but I could definitely use some help populating that issue queue. So if anybody has some cycles for that, I would appreciate it. Let's see, has anybody not gone? Martin, did you want to give a stand up?
Sure, thanks. So a pretty quiet week this week. Thanks to Adam for reviewing the changes I made that Matt Butcher put in for the library chart. So that got merged in. So thank you to that. And just call out to Matt Farina if you think the issue is finished now, maybe you can close that off if you think it's okay. Apart from that, I've got distracted with loads of different things all week. So yeah, it's been a quiet week. So next week or tomorrow and from next week on, get back again onto the PRs and reviews and stuff like that. And as I say, with any of the V3 stuff, I'll help out in that as well. Next is Fisher on, Matt Fisher.
Yeah, so the majority of my week has been doing issue triaging and then as well going through the release candidates. So again, yeah, like Matt Farina and I have been pairing on that to go through like the crypto, or not the crypto stuff, basically to go through PGP signing and whatnot. So that was a process to get through that. And then as well, I'm just kind of working through the Helm 3 client refactoring or the action package refactoring. So then the rest of the commands, not just the install command, uses the action package. So that's what I've been working on. Scott.
Hey, sorry to come in late. Yeah, so two things mainly. Met with a few folks about use cases for the chart releaser GitHub app that we were talking about a few weeks ago. That's coming along okay. And the other thing is that LastPass Enterprise that you probably have been spammed by me about. I do need some emails from a few a view. And actually, I have one quick question that someone who's at Microsoft might know. Do you sub address? Does the @microsoft.com email addresses support sub addressing like Outlook does? Like the + sign tag. Do you know what I mean?
I can test it out for you like right after this, and then.
Okay. Thank you, Michelle. Yeah, because if that works, then I can just go ahead and follow that pattern that we talked about for everyone. And if they want something different, they can just tell us, or you can always change it. And if it doesn't work, then I'll need to pester a few of you for emails. But that's it.
Great. Anybody else that hasn't gone yet? Okay, just as everybody. Okay, so moving on to discussion. Somebody added Lua plans. Does anybody, whoever added that, want to talk about that?
Yeah, that was me. So yeah, I was playing with the Lua engine this week, and I was talking to Matt Fisher is there a way to convert a Lua table into a Go struct? So I put together. I'll put this in the doc. I put together this small little Go package that copies the Gopher Lua version that does that. I'm wondering. So I was wondering, is that something that's going to be pushed into the Lua engine? That type of method, and then also, what was there a design for how Helm charts written as Lua scripts would look? Is there going to be like a global chart variable or something that that we're going to like add things into, or how is that? Is there any plans for that?
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm working on at the moment is so trying to leverage the idea of meta tables in Lua to overload particular operators in the Lua engine. So like the concat operator, trying to keep, trying to create a more like idiomatic Go API where I can just embed this interface and then implement whatever operator or methods I need to implement to leverage that behavior in the VM. So for instance, like if you can imagine an interface that has a concat function that takes a value, right? And then I can embed that interface into my Go struct, overload that operator, and then in the VM, when it wants to concat something, it'll see that as a user data type and basically invoke that higher level Go API. As well, there's I think it's in maybe Lua util in the Go Lua. There's kind of a Lua reflection library that I was working on around KubeCon.
So Brian, if you want to look at the link I put in here, I think the only difference in the Lua util, and maybe you and I can just talk after this at some point, but I think the return type just needs to be like a reflect.value versus Lua.value for it to be useful. But so everything you said sounds great. I'm asking also though about kind of like the UX of the Lua script, as like less about like the internals, but more about like I don't know. The example I have in my head is like how GoFish does things, and it basically defines like a global, I think it's called like food or something, and it's like a global variable, and then that's evaluated. I guess I'm asking like, how is a Helm chart? Are you saying there's going to be like internal methods?
Oh, so you're talking about like the actual like
chart format, like
in Lua though?
Yeah. Right.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's if you want to think about that or take that on, that would be awesome. I haven't been thinking about I have been thinking about, I have a couple different models of how we can model charts in Lua or,
right,
general configuration. But I think for Helm, we're not going to be modeling charts in Lua off the bat, at least in the beginning. I think it's mainly going to be used like in a very basic Lua sense of just accepting in Go types and then manipulating them and then getting return values. But in terms of data modeling in Lua, I haven't been doing much of that lately. But we can talk, and I'll look at that doc so I have a better idea of what you're thinking.
When you say we aren't doing that, you mean you and Adam aren't doing that, or that wasn't part of the?
It's not part of the spec to model charts in Lua. I mean, we talked about it, but I mean, as a team, we talked about it. I talked about it with you before too. But it's where
well, I'm going off of the example from Butcher's blog post that has like the functions and like there's an underscore object or something. So I can play around with that. I just didn't know if there was any concrete.
No, there's not.
Okay.
But I'd be happy to work with you on that, and we can also start enumerating some best practices for writing Lua in Helm.
Yeah, that would be, yes, please reach out. That sounds great.
Adam keeps starting to say something.
No, I was just going to mention that it's the next thing that we have that's kind of a big open design decision, because the builder was a prerequisite for being able to manipulate charts in Lua, because that allowed us to manipulate charts like as a solo thing. And then the Lua VM was also a prerequisite. So those two are coming to a head right now. So the next thing, big design thing we're going to have to tackle is what you're talking about right now, is what does the Lua actually look like? One thing I was kind of envisioning first was converting like more of like the helper type functions into Lua.
Well, I feel like you can like preload the state with a bunch of like built-ins, right? So we could have like a add secret or like add this and that, and it has certain arguments.
Yeah, I don't know how much that we would want built in, but we could definitely create like extra libraries for that.
Right. Well, maybe there's a library that is available by default, like chart builder.
Yeah, that's all the stuff we got to flesh out next. So, yeah, maybe we should have another meeting once we get to that point, which will hopefully be next week or the week after. Once the builder stuff is in, I think it'll be a lot easier to start visualizing a lot of this. All right, and we got 6 minutes left, and there's a few other, or there's one other discussion item, 1 megabyte limit with no tiller. Who read that one?
This is also me. If anyone else has something more important to talk about, please cut off. But there was something that was just in Helm Dev about someone's config map being too large, and I didn't know how to respond because I was thinking about Helm 3 and how things are going to be in CRDs. So with the CRDs, can we define our own size limit, or where is that 1 megabyte limit coming from?
Okay, so this was a 1 meg limit on the size of a config map?
Correct. Okay. And the person's like, should I add a SQL backend? And
No, so here's what's going on with that. Somebody else can probably give more information on this. If I remember right, this is an etcd limit, and it has to do with the consensus algorithm between etcd servers. It's capped at a certain megabyte limit. Does anybody know what that is offhand?
1 megabyte?
It's 1 megabyte.
It's 1 megabyte. So this is actually an etcd problem and a storage problem there.
So we could not fix this with.
We can't fix this. This isn't a Helm problem. This is a storage engine that Kubernetes uses thing. And I think it goes back to the algorithm it uses for consensus between different instances of etcd. I think that's where it traces to. Yeah, so there's nothing we can do about it. It's not Helm. Complaining Kubernetes. All Kubernetes objects have this problem.
Maybe you or someone else can look at that.
Sure. What's the issue? I don't have it open.
It's not an issue. It's just someone just put it this morning in Helm-Dev. Slack.
Yeah, sure. I'll jump over there and try to find that and respond.
Something else to bring up as well is that so someone also brought up this exact same problem about the limitation of etcd basically storing only 1 megabyte of data in config maps, secrets, anything else. So this won't necessarily be solved in Helm 3 either, because we're storing those in secrets now, and we're not storing them in CRDs. But that limitation is going to come up there as well. So someone had proposed adding an additional storage backend, which was backed by the local file system. I'm not sure about that design overall and different things, but that was one that was also proposed, and I think that one's still in the PR queue as well. So that might be good to point out.
Yeah. This person was talking about adding a MySQL backend, and
exactly, yeah. So it's basically what it's trying to do is circumvent the whole 1 megabyte limit by using an alternative backend store that's not etcd. Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so is there anything else on that one, or?
No, that's it.
No. Okay. All right. Well, that was the last discussion thing. So let's move on to assignments. Who wants to be issue Sherpa?
I can do it.
And moderator.
I can moderate.
And notes.
I can do notes.
Josh, if you didn't want to moderate, I could do it this time, because I was supposed to do it today, and then we have issues. So I can do it.
Are you trying to tell me not to? That's fine.
No.
He volunteered for all the.
I don't want to do it anymore. I don't want to do it.
Okay, then I'll take it.
All right, then it looks like we're actually going to end this call 2 minutes early. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, y'all.
Thanks, everyone.